Hello everyone and welcome to Debate Pro Solution. I'm your host, Mr. Time for Business Studios. Today we are looking at the British Parliamentary debate. So whether you are a student at high school, at college and universities, how do you participate in the British Parliamentary debate? So let's start by defining what is British Parliamentary debate, known as the Big P. Is the most popular style of debating. Is known as intercollegiate debating in the world. It is a style used at an annual World University Debating Champions. Some popularly refer to it as BF or as Worlds or Gudie format. So this is how we look at British parliamentary debate, and you should understand that each round of debate focus on a different motion. You are given a topic in which you are going to debate about. So the motion will be disclosed to you prior 15 minutes to your first speech. So you are allowed to go and prepare for the speech. You're supposed to prepare for the speech for 15 minutes before the round. Then you may only speak to your partner. This is the only person you're allowed to speak to. Then you're supposed to use also prior material, that you have only printed material. That's the only thing that you're allowed to use. And also accessing electronic information like using ChatGPT or using the internet or using AI is not allowed. It's prohibited in the British parliamentary debate. Then once you have known about that you're given a motion, we have a team position that you're supposed to be given before the round of the motion is announced. So the issue is that we have 4 teams which participate in the British parliamentary debate. So on those 4 teams, 2 teams represent the government in support of the motion. Then 2 other teams represent the opposition which oppose the government in the motion. So here are the names of the teams and the names of individual roles. So we have what to call the opening government, which is composed of the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister. Then we have what to call the closing government, which has the member of government and government whip. Then we also have the opening opposition with the leader of opposition and the deputy leader of opposition. Then we have what we call the member of opposition and the opposition whip. So the order in which these speakers are going to be able to speak, we have to start from the Prime Minister. Is supposed to come to the podium and he speaks for 7 minutes. Then also all the speakers will be speaking for 7 minutes. So this is the order that is followed when they are going to be able to go to the podium and give their speech. We start from the Prime Minister, we go to the leader of opposition, we go to the Deputy Prime Minister, we go to the Deputy Leader of Opposition, then we go to the member of government, then you also go to the member of opposition, then you go to the government whip, then the last speaker is the opposition whip. So right now let's now dive into what does the Prime Minister is expected to say when he comes to the podium. So let me move to that page. Okay, we are here. So the Prime Minister is the first speaker to come to the podium. So what is he expected to do? The job of the Prime Minister is to present a debatable, persuasive case in support of the motion. They just say the motion says this House believes that public schools are better than private schools. So we're expecting the government to come in, the Prime Minister, to actually support the motion whereby he says that government schools are better than private schools. Then he supports the motion and he makes it debatable in a way that he chooses to say I'm supporting the public schools in respect to opposing the private schools. So now he has to go and start preparing his motion in that kind of a manner. So what is he expected to do? So as a speaker, he's supposed to be able to define the motion. So in this case, look at the motion that I've given you. This House believes that public schools are better than private schools. So we're expecting the Prime Minister, to actually define what is a public school and what is a private school. Then you also have to now include specific terms in the motions, advocating either a specific policy which changes, or also articulating the roles of the relevant stakeholders. How is he supporting the motion of saying that public schools are better than private schools? And then he moves on to provide a complete case. This is when we are trying to see that he's supposed to now establish that a problem exists, then provides reasons why your team advocacy to resolve it. So it may be a motion which is now rendering some of the solutions that he has, that there's a problem that exists, and he's trying to render the solutions to those problems as the Prime Minister. The same that applies with this motion that I've given you. We'll be expecting the Prime Minister to say now, I support public schools because they have a better education, they are affordable, they have the people at heart, all those other relevant points. Then also the other thing that this should do is that if necessary, signpost new material your partner will add. So as the Prime Minister, we're expecting you to flag some of your points, then you're going to leave them unexplained so that you leave room for your Deputy Prime Minister to come and able to explain on those points. Then also you are being told that you should avoid being too clever. The idea is that you should aim to set up a debatable motion, a debatable case. That's supposed the most obvious interpretation of the motion is supposed to be debatable. You are the first speaker to come to the podium, so you set a motion that you should set a case that is debatable to the other speakers that are going to come after you. That's why we are expecting you to do that as a Prime Minister. Then we move on to the second speaker, who is the leader of opposition. So the leader of opposition, we expect him to come to the podium, should oppose the motion and the case presented by the Prime Minister. So we're expecting the leader of opposition to come to the podium and say that the opposition says that the private schools are better than government schools, and they try to refute the Prime Minister's case that he has come and presented. So he's supposed to be specific, criticize the case you just heard. So we're expecting the leader of opposition to be listening to the Prime Minister when he'll be stating out his case, so that he can have something to say when he comes to the podium, so that he can refute the case of the Prime Minister. So we expect him to oppose the motion. Why is the motion itself problematic? There's some of the issues that he can talk about. State your team's position. Their position is going to be obviously the opposing the government side. On what basis? Then provide the reasoning to support it. As we prepare for this speech, consider that the motion might probably do more harm than good. Also try to foreclosure better alternatives, or be tethered to a destructive worldview, whereby you try to see that if the Prime Minister didn't set parameters when he was talking about the motion, you're also allowed to also disrupt the worldview about some of the issues that we can talk about that can help your case in refuting the Prime Minister. Then also you should recognize that the first two tasks on this list will not always separate. A good Prime Minister will allow you to oppose both at the same time. So the issue is that we're expecting that when the Prime Minister comes to the podium, when the leader of opposition comes to the podium, it's supposed to be the Prime Minister lays out a case that is debatable, so that the leader of opposition will have something to say. That's how the motion will be debatable in a way that the leader of opposition has two tasks: to refute the Prime Minister's case, and also to give some of the suggestions, the solutions to some of the problems that are being raised by the Prime Minister. So he's supposed to refute the case of Prime Minister and also lay out his case. So these are the first two tasks that are always on the list and are not always separate. That can only be done when the Prime Minister has done a good speech, which allow you as the leader of opposition to do both at the same time. Okay, so let's move on to our third speaker, who is the Deputy Prime Minister from the government side. So we call it the opening government because they are the one who are the first to come to speak. So this is what you should understand, that we have what we call the first half of the debate, where we have the opening government and the opening opposition. So right now on the opening government, we now have the Deputy Prime Minister coming to the podium. He's the third speaker to come to speak. So what he does is the Prime Minister closes the opening government and should rebuild defend your team's case by answering the leader of opposition refutation. So much of the case of the Deputy Prime Minister is built on him refuting what the leader of opposition was saying, and also reiterate the key elements of your team's position as the government, that you are supporting public schools, not private schools. So you refute what the leader of opposition was saying. At the same time, you lay out your case as the government side and try to strengthen your case. So you refute the leader of opposition. So I was explaining that as the deputy prime minister, you refute the leader of opposition case. Be specific, criticize what you have heard the leader of opposition saying, compare it to your team's position, follow through on promises. If your partner declared that you would present new material in support of your team's position, do so, because it's all about you strengthening your side of your argument. Then you move on to say that at the very least, add depth to the original case by providing additional details, examples, and explanation. So the only way in which you can make your argument very strong in a British parliamentary debate is to try to make sure that you provide additional details and also examples and explanations. So we're expecting the deputy prime minister to explain the case of his government side further so that they can be awarded more points. So let's move on to our fourth speaker of the first half of the debate. So we have the deputy leader of opposition. So the deputy leader of opposition, his job is to conclude the first half of the debate because he's the last person to speak representing the opposition side. At the same time, he's the one who concludes the first half of the debate. So he should rebuild his case by defend your partner's case from the deputy prime minister refutation. So the issue is that we are expecting the deputy leader of opposition to refute the case that was delivered by the deputy prime minister. You can also try to refute the case of the whole bench as the opening government. So reiterate the key elements of your team's position. So we're expecting you to be able to stand firm, supporting your side as the opposition, as the opening opposition. So also we're expecting you to, once you refute some of the things that were said, some of the points that were said by the deputy prime minister, we're expecting you to add new relevant material presented by the deputy prime minister. Illustrate any important tension between some of the things that were said by the prime minister and the deputy prime minister speeches, them as the whole bench, analyze them and see where they have not actually explained more, where they have not actually strengthened their case to make it much more valuable. You attack on that, and also at the same time highlight leader of opposition reputation that were ignored or insufficient covered by the deputy prime minister. So we're expecting you now to even evaluate your leader of opposition. Some of the points that he did flag out that he didn't actually explain, you explain them further, you add depth to your case, and also try to refute the deputy prime minister if he didn't manage to build a stronger case. Try to go deep into what he was trying to say. Then add depth by saying this. We are trying to say add something to your team's case. You can provide additional examples, explanation, or analysis to support on a previous claim. You can present a new argument. You're allowed to do that as the deputy leader of opposition. So we're expecting you as the last speaker to speak for the first half of the debate, supposed to be able to build a stronger case that shows that as the opposition, as the opening opposition, you were able to dominate the first half of the debate. So this is an opportunity that when you become the deputy leader of opposition, being able to evaluate what was happening throughout the first half of the debate, so that you can make your team win. So this covers the first half of the debate. So I'll see you on the next video when you look at the second half of the debate.